Welcome to the No Tenants Left Behind channel. We are a tenants' rights support, advocacy, and help channel. Most of the videos will be basically just myself and my co-coordinator hosting videos. We'll try to do, we want to get people on as well to tell their stories dealing with bad landlords and scumlords and slumlords. We will also be doing how-tos on understanding the Residential Tenancies Act, understanding the Landlord-Tenant Board, how to conduct a meeting or a hearing. We'll also be going into the Landlord and Tenant Board forms, not only explaining what they're for, but explaining exactly how to fill them out. And hopefully we'll be attending some of the protests for housing in Toronto. We are an Ontario-based tenants' rights advocacy group. Therefore, we'll be focusing mainly on tenants' rights in Ontario, Canada, both dealing with tenancies that fall under the Residential Tenancies Act, tenancies that fall somewhat under the Landlord Residential Tenancies Act, and some fall outside of the Residential Tenancies Act. My name is Erin Elizabeth Crane. My pronouns are she and her. And so just a little bit about myself. So with this introduction video, I have been a renter most of my life. My parents have been renters. So I've had dealings with extremely poor landlords. I have been on Ontario Works, and I am currently on Ontario Works again. I'm waiting for Ontario Disability Support, ODSP, with the amount that people on Ontario Works, and for anyone not living in Ontario or Canada, Ontario Works is a social benefit and a social support program that deals with those who are out of work. So basically, it is an equivalent to welfare. That being said, Ontario Works has never provided adequate support for paying rent and basic needs at the same time. When I was on Ontario Works, probably about 15-20 years ago, my benefits were about $560 a month. The average rent at that time was about $400 for a room rental in a shared accommodation. Apartments were going for $800. My partner at the time was the son of a landlording family. We became very familiar at that time with landlord practices, the beginnings of the Landlord-Tenant Act, or the Residential Tenancies Act. I think it was just called the Rental Act at that time, to how landlords can game the system, work the system, get around things both legally and not so legally. His parents were not particularly great landlords. I admit at the time I was not a particularly great tenant. I had a lot of undiagnosed mental health issues that I was dealing with, and I will admit that I was less than, since then I have greatly improved myself, my self-care, my apartment care, and I have got a proper mental health diagnosis. I am on proper medications for it. That being said, I've also had landlords who were not relatives of people that I was dating or engaged to at the time. Over the years, both while I've been on assistance and while I haven't, I've always worked minimum wage retail jobs. So again, my rents obviously couldn't be expensive. I have dealt with landlords that don't do upkeep to their apartments. I have dealt with landlords who have found ways around the LTB. I will go into some of those in stories in the future. I'm trying to keep this fairly short and sweet. So, needless to say, up until COVID hit, I was doing pretty good with dealing with my landlord. At which point, yes, I was on Ontario Works at that time, but I was also trying to run and start a small entertainment services company, karaoke, DJ, a trivia hosting, as well as track production. We were not uber successful. We had a modest. We had reoccurring clients. We had a couple of venues that we did reoccurring karaoke nights at. So I was able to supplement that income with the other. But then all of a sudden, when COVID hit, obviously all of the venues, bars, restaurants, even event venues such as banquet halls, they all were closed. My regular karaoke night venues have since gone out of business. And many places that have been able to survive at this time are having trouble struggling to pay for extras such as entertainment, karaoke, DJ, etc. I lost all of my private events, such as, weddings and wedding events, birthdays, holiday parties, etc. And obviously there's been no rebookings. Toronto is still is open for business, but a lot of people are still very wary. Social distancing is still in effect. Mask mandates are still in effect. I am not an anti-masker. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I have been double vaccinated myself. I am waiting for them to announce the boosters, especially in light of Omicron variant. So I encourage people. Anyway, back to the original. Again, I tend to ramble. I do tend to stutter and use vocal tics. That is a mental health issue with me. I do have a that I'm still dealing with, and some of it is obviously untreatable, such as a stutter, and I can't afford to go to a speech therapist. So I have to deal with that. Other than that, again, we want to work towards more actual advocacy, not just videos. We will be hosting Q&As, town halls, slideshow presentations on here. We do have a Facebook group. The link is below. And we do have a Patreon also. If you have a couple bucks a month to spare, we'd love you to support, because that money will go into better production. It will go into research. It will go into advocacy directly, both assisting people with landlord-tenant board issues, being witnesses to the hearings so that there's the support there, advising on LTB issue matters and hearings, and also advocacy within the community, within the government. I live in a riding right now that is my member of provincial parliament is Suze Morrison, who is the housing critic for the NDP, the New Democratic Party of Ontario. And I am going to be contacting her about some other issues, but I will be raising issues about housing. She is very much aware of the issue with the Ontario Works and ODSP program, and the fact that nowadays even your maximum allowance for OW wouldn't even won't even cover a room. Right now, maximum is 700, I think my max is 780, but that's a minus 80 for diabetic a diet allowance. So it's about 750 or so, I think, around there anyway. It's no higher than that. It's absolutely no higher than that. Right now, my allowance that I get, and allowance makes it sound like the government, your parents, and they're handing you your weekly allowance for a good job. I get $518. $518 to cover my rent and my basic needs. So I am lucky that I'm on rent geared to income housing right now. Because I only pay a fraction of market rent, but it still doesn't leave very much. Other than that, okay. So yeah, advocacy, direct advocacy in community and government. Liaisoning with other anti-poverty groups such as Protecting ODSP, and OW funding, which was started by a friend of mine who I met at a camp, and who is also, so we're going to try to advocate towards housing, towards better supports for people who are low, no income, etc. So I'm just going to leave with a warning and notice that the people involved with No Tenant Left Behind at the moment are not in the business of law. We are not lawyers. We are not paralegals. Therefore, any advice given on our channel, given in private messaging on our Facebook group, is to be considered not legal advice. It is just recommendations. And eventually, when we hope to actually start having lawyers and paralegals on, we also will stipulate that what they're saying, though maybe laid out in law, is not legal advice. It can only be considered legal advice when you take on a lawyer or a paralegal as your representative. So either through legal aid, which is government support program, or if you're paying and have hired, if you sign basically a contract with that lawyer to be your representative, then it becomes legal advice. So yeah. Anyway, I will hopefully get started on some of the how-tos in dealing with the LTB forms. I have finished one for the for a tenant A2, I believe it is, for a tenant's to sublet or reassign their lease, which I will be posting very soon. Other than that, like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, let me know what you'd like to see included. You can join our Facebook group. Again, the link will be below. You can post it there. You can post it here. Posting it here, giving likes, subscribing, ringing the bell. It all helps the algorithm to get us out further. And until next time, rent is not due. And we will see you, or well, I guess you'll see me. I won't see you, but I hope to have interaction from you next time.